Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Leighton's Loft. Today's show is sponsored by Vintage Breaks and Just Collect. And for those of you who've been with us for quite some time, you may recognize this as a different time slot for us. And so first and foremost, let me explain to everyone kind of what's going on, right? We're not so formal here. I literally texted Lou in the middle of the week and I said, hey, do you think you can make 1:30 work? And so the first thing I wanted to do is thank everyone who's able to make it here today with us. I realize that moving forward, if we're able to solidify this as our time slot, we'll make an announcement formally on social. We're going to push it through our newsletter, Lou.
Okay.
And, I wanted to thank everyone who's been tuning in for the last couple of years. It used to be called the Vintage Breaks PSA show, kind of morphed into Leighton's Loft with my co-host, Lou. And, really, Lou, I was a little bit nervous in reaching out because I was afraid, you were going to say you didn't have availability or the only time that could work was either super early in the morning or late at night. And really the whole premise behind us changing the time, not the amount of time, but the actual time slot was, we just felt like it was interrupting our show down here, meaning the Vintage Break show. And so if we're able to kind of kick off our day, and I know we hadn't flushed this out, but, maybe we can both make an hour work in the future. I don't know, but I figured, 30 minutes was at least like a good starting point, and a time slot that I knew would be still good for me, hopefully good for you, good for our audience, because of course you can play it back. If you're not able to join us live, you can play it back on Leighton's Loft's Facebook page. But I'd still like to, keep that same feel. And what's nice is, Lou, after a little bit of a hiatus, having last week off, because things were just so crazy on our end, we do appreciate everyone being patient. We want to bring back that flair that this show's always had, even versus Trading Card Therapy, which of course yours truly is the host of. And believe it or not, Lou, we have now done 18 episodes. So in a blink of an eye, there's 18 episodes. And I'll be old enough to drink soon, at least on that show.
That's what happens when you keep your head down. These episodes pile up.
Yeah. And so, hey, what's up, James? Thanks for joining us. For whatever. Hey, what's up, Ryan? Happy holidays to you as well. I'm not able to see everyone's comments. I believe only if they're on our page. And so please, if I don't comment or say hi, it's only because I don't see it. But we are going to continue with guests, and we'll talk about ours today, which is kind of fun. A little bit of out of left field for, I know, Lou, and not your typical guest that we'll have, which I think is going to be great for our community. So I wanted to preface everything with kind of all of that and to let you know that the Jets still suck.
Wow.
And so really, not much has changed, Lou, other than time, right? Same people, same bat place, same bat channel, and the Jets still stink. So really...
Well, if it's any consolation in the AFC, at a certain time, everybody stinks. It seems like everybody in the AFC stinks at a certain time.
Yes. So, with that being said, we're not going to spend our time today talking about the Jets. In about, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes or so, our friend Justin's going to join us. I'm going to let him introduce himself, but, we're going to talk about how our paths connected and, his role in the hobby and all that kind of good stuff. I did want to start off with being a little bit commercial here, Lou. We are going to be going live at 2:00 today on our Vintage Break stream on YouTube. You can, of course, subscribe to our channel. Also hit the bell button so that way you'll be notified when we have new videos and such. So we're going to go live from Vintage Breaks North from 2 to 9. And then at 9:30. And at 9:30, Sir Charles and Vintage Breaks South will take over. You can play bingo with him out west. But I wanted to show off, this is a doozy right here. We have a gorgeous, very well-centered, mid-grade 63 tops mantle, PSA 4. This is going to be one of the big hits today on our $500 wheel.
Oh, wow.
So for those that participate, in our breaks and in our show, this is fresh to Vintage Breaks and will be a possible bonus that you could win during our stream today.
Geez, this Loft show is becoming all Mickey all the time here. There's a lot of Mickey Mantle we've been going through.
So I'll tell you what, I'll hit you right out of left field with this then. I've been kind of, I wouldn't say obsessed, but paying attention to, I've been getting back some fun cards, George Washington, Charlie Chaplin. So, I'm not just going, Mickey. And then I had to make a shout out to my son, Crosby. We are on the very last chapter, and you may ask how we do this. So really, we only read one chapter a night. when we read together, and he won't allow it to be more, even when we're close to the end, because he likes to read other books.
Yep.
So I'm going to get him a card now after every time we finish a book related to the player. Now, I also don't want to spoil him and getting something super expensive.
Right.
So I got him this cute 2020 Topps Chrome Honus Wagner Decade of Dominance die cut PSA 8, and the thing cost me all of $20.
Oh, look at that. It's beautiful, though.
It's a beautiful card. To be honest, towards the end of the book, it's kind of crazy. Certainly, I want to spoil it, but it's a kid's book. They rip up a Honus Wagner, and like Crosby and I are like, what? What's going on? It was, it's been really fun. It's a good way to bond about your love of sports.
It's just a story, so you can calm down. It's just a story. But no actual Honus Wagner cards were ripped up.
But he asks, though, Lou. He does. He'll ask, like, and then he'll ask about, are things real? He'll say to me or remind me, Dad, do you remember when I hit 5 home runs in the backyard? I'm like, yes, that's the all-time record for a game. Because no major leaguers hit 5 home runs in one game. And so it's these little things that we bond over that are really fun. And of course, you were kind enough to give us one of the books or a couple of the books we have on deck, Lou. We have Willie Mays. That might be from Monty. I'm not sure. And we have, I think, one other. But I'm looking forward to kind of having a little collection for him. I'm going to give this to him after the last chapter is done, and that'll be this Sunday.
Willie Mays from is that in that series? A different series?
Oh, maybe it's a different series.
No,
it's Dan Gutenberg.
Dan Gutman. No, Dan Gutman. Yeah.
No, it's him. It's him because someone mailed me that book. Yeah.
Just stay away from the Abner Doubleday one. Don't read Crosby that one.
Yeah, we haven't done that. And then talk about like polar opposites here. So in terms of vintage, I got this back recently from PSA with a group of 37 Ogdens, and I love this Jesse Owens card. So I'll probably hang on to this until I try to upgrade it. And then this I bought on the secondary market. Now, this card used to be, I couldn't even tell you. It might have been north of 10,000, probably 20,000, 25,000. Mm-hmm. But I don't love A-Rod, but I don't hate A-Rod. And I think A-Rod's going to be very relevant. I can't say in baseball per se, Lou, because it seems like he has business interests. But I bought this 1994 Sportsflix rookie traded artist proof in a PSA 10 not that long ago. And for what I paid, which I'm going to say is about $1,800, I don't know that I'm going to sell it. If it's worth a lot more money one day, maybe I will. I bought it because I always loved that car as a kid. I was never able to afford it. And so that's what's kind of fun about collecting and keeping tabs on the market and stuff.
All right, this is the conversation we have every time about this here. But what if A-Rod ends up in Hall?
Well, then that's going to be a valuable card.
Yeah,
that'll be a valuable card. Oh, is this the first year he's on the ballot?
Yeah, and he should get elected. I don't know if you think
he's going to get elected this year?
I don't know. There's that first ballot weirdness, but A-Rod is a Hall of Famer, isn't he? I mean, A-Rod is.
I think he's a Hall of Famer, but like, I think there's so many other contingencies and factors, Lou, that we're now in the court of public opinion. And I heard a great diatribe, it wasn't NPR, but it felt like it was, about how audacious and arrogant some of these baseball writers are about their voting and who are they? And, some of them honestly, were shunned during these particular players' careers in some cases. Yeah. And so it just feels a little bit like, to get back at. So I don't know how kosher everything is, but you're right. Because of all of that, there can be weirdness that may lead to a very interesting Hall of Fame class next year for baseball.
Yeah, we have the poster child writer for that syndrome up here in Dan Shaughnessy, and his constant battles with Curt Schilling. Voted for Curt Schilling early in his candidacy, hasn't voted for him recently. That's political, but there's a lot of personal stuff going on between the writers and some of these players now.
Well, you're definitely right. I try to stay away from it, and honestly, there's so much hobby content these days, Lou. Yep. I find myself I'll be doing work at home, and my wife's like, "Who are you talking to?" I'm like, "I'm listening to a YouTube video." She's like, "Of who?" I'm like, "You don't want to know." It's like a card, dorky content. You're not going to want to know. Stuff I love, believe me. And speaking of dorky content, if you're not following me already, please check me out on Instagram, Leighton_Sheldon. You'll be happy you did. Sometimes I'm giving people a sneak peek of a collection that we recently bought. Hey, what's up, Harry? How are you? Happy holidays.
You get Harry upset for some reason here.
Oh yeah, no, it's funny.
Oh yeah, you were wearing a Yankees cap. Yeah, I noticed that.
I knew what I was doing, and I was curious if either like, was anyone gonna say anything? Did anyone notice? And it made me happy in a very, like I said, dorky, nerdy way that Harry was someone to point it out. And I always believe this, by the way, in personal and business. If there's someone out there commenting, it means other people are thinking it.
Oh,
They're
God,
just,
yeah.
so like, Lou, yes, you picked up on it. And to me, it was kind of fun. I mean, if you couldn't tell, I was super duper happy to be holding 10 Jackie Robinsons at once. And even though, I can go out in the secondary market and buy 10 of them and just hold them, there's something about when we acquire these collections and we're entrusted not just to purchase them for a fair price, but, some people, like, for example, we were just talking about, some people tell me they love and absolutely, quote unquote, choose us because they're happy the way we document our collections. Other people, you would never know that they care. But Lou, the way we were just discussing, even with Harry and commenting about the Brooklyn Dodger cards with the Yankee cap,
right?
If one person notices and says something, several other people are noticing behind the scenes. And so I firmly believe this for Just Collect, because we've become good storytellers and I enjoy it, right? It helps us. I say this all the time in life because I like the baseball metaphor. The tie goes to the runner.
Yeah.
It's nice to be the runner. And so to me, in terms of if everything else is the same in the baseball card world, meaning the price, service, and everything else is similar, I believe we're going to get the collection because people really enjoy how we document it. Hey, what's up, Chris? Happy holidays.
You know how this works. There are people who are in it very clinically. There are people in here
Yes.
financially, and it's just a business transaction, and they'll go with whoever gives them a couple bucks off, and that's fine if the way you want to approach it. But there's a lot of personal stuff here. This community, this is why, listen, if you want to move the show wherever the hell you want to move it, I'm going to go along because I like the people in this group and I like to talk and I like the community, and we can laugh at you wearing that premeditated crime of wearing Yankees hat while showing Jackie Robinson. We can laugh at that and we can all have fun because we're all friends and it's personal. And I think that's one of the best parts of the business. But listen, if you're an investor and you want to go for the extra buck or the extra margin and all that stuff, that's fine. That's one way to approach the hobby.
Yeah. And so, in terms of the Jackie Robinsons, I wanted to kind of give people, I know Justin.
We had a phone call there. You get a phone call there. So it'll come back in a second. You're still muted here. I'm not sure. Sometimes it takes a second. There we go. Are you back?
There we go. Sorry about that.
Yep.
Yeah, we get these automated calls from Crosby School System literally 6 times a day. Someone's got COVID, someone has diarrhea, someone ate too much at lunch. It's like whatever it is, can we maybe just consolidate it all into one call? It would be awesome. So just to address the Jackie Robinsons on a personal level. What's up, Daniel? Happy holidays. Lou, when I was a kid, even in my early teens, to have thousands of dollars of value in just one player in a collection would have made me very nervous.
Yeah.
Not just financially, but like, am I assessing the cards properly? And so I asked Ken, who's in our office, and I'd love to have him on a future show. He's known as the Pokemon professor in the Pokemon world, but to us in the office, he's known as Ken. And he's doing a great job for us. He's been with us for about 7 months, handling social media and marketing for Vintage Breaks, and to a certain extent, Just Collect. Welcome, Tyler. And so I asked him this morning, Lou, like, why did me wearing a Yankee hat, holding these Jackie Robinson cards, do so well on Instagram? And I understand, we'll never know the answer. And when I say do well, based on that, we only have a few thousand followers and blah, blah, the whole thing. And so we can tell because we have other posts. And so we're simply comparing, like, hey, how much engagement and how much likes and all that stuff. And by the way, we're not doing it for the likes. We're doing it for the hobby and because I love it. And obviously you can tell because I have a half a smirk and I'm wearing my Yankee cap and the whole thing, right? But the reality of it is his late, first of all, sometimes it's more of an art than a science. And you got to understand, when you look at that picture, it looks like you're just happy. And I'm like, well, I am. He's like, no, exactly. He's like, in other words, instead of showing like $100 bills and flashing that we've just bought these cards, or like wearing them on a chain. And I'm not saying, by the way, any of those things are wrong.
Right.
You can clearly see the inner kid, the inner nerd in me, I think, in that picture. And obviously, people have enjoyed seeing that photo. And for those who are somewhat new to the community and maybe don't follow Just Collect on our blog, Lou, I'd love to drop in to the chat. You can read a lot about the background behind these collections we purchase on our blog at blog.justcollect.com. At this point, we have hundreds of blogs, meaning hundreds of stories. And Monty will give us a count for Jan 1 moving forward. But I believe we're somewhere in that 30 to 35 state range out of 50 to try to have bought at least one collection that we wrote a blog on from every state in the United States. And so, we're looking forward to tackling that, next year. We certainly appreciate everyone being here today. And so before we bring Justin into it, for today's show, I thought this was kind of neat. We're going to give away a $150 credit to the Just Collect eBay store. And so you can either use that $150 to buy any card or cards you want that add up to $150, or you could take $150 off of a card that costs more than $150.
Nice.
Whatever you would like. Today's show is sponsored by Just Collect and Vintage Breaks. And so at the end of today's show, Lou, leading into the Vintage Breaks stream, all you have to do is to be tuned in live to have a chance to win. Sometimes we're going to do a trivia question. Sometimes we're going to do a random Nightbot giveaway. Sometimes we might ask you to send a photo to my email of the coolest new card you bought, and I might choose a winner like that. For today, we'll keep it easy because I know it's a new time slot, and I wanted to give everyone a fair chance, to join us moving forward. But yes, Rocco, moving forward, we're either going to solidify 1 or 130, but for now, just call it 130. That's what we've done today. And for trading card therapy, we are trying to solidify the time. It's been a moving target, but at the very least, you folks can know that the episode will drop on Fridays, meaning trading card therapy, wherever you get your favorite podcasts. And for Leighton's Loft, if you want to go back and see this episode or previous episodes from our archive, you can do that over on Leighton's Loft Facebook page.
And by the way, share with everybody, bring friends along, make sure everybody knows about the new time. And we'll be pushing it a lot, but we're glad all you guys showed up, and thanks for paying attention so much. Ken's absolutely right, by the way. I love the way he approaches that. And I think you and I had this conversation. When you go see a band and they're having fun on stage, how much fun that is?
Totally.
This is what Vintage Breaks is about, this whole thing. This is the whole feeling of Vintage Breaks. Everybody's having fun. It attracts people who want to have fun. I think it's the best part about Vintage Breaks, and I think it's a separator for Vintage Breaks. Just keep doing it. Just everyone have fun. We all love this. We all enjoy what we're doing. We all enjoy hanging out together. Keep that vibe going, and it's going to pay off. That's the way I feel about it.
Well, listen, we before we have Justin join us, Lou, appreciate you being along for the ride. It's been up and down and very fun. When I say down, the down part was like, hey, what are we going to do? We're not going to pay PSA a stupid amount of money to broadcast what we think is great hobby content. We'll save that for another time and place.
Yeah.
But we've decided to kind of run with it, and it's been great. One of the things I'd love to see for next year, and you pointed this out, like a band having fun. Certainly, I think David Grohl would be a stretch from Foo Fighters. But one of the things I think is going to be fun that I like to focus on next year, Lou, and you helped me see the light, with some friends of yours that you were able to secure, for the program, his name is
Stevie Holman and Joe Gatto,
Joe from Scratch, Gatto from Scratch.
Yep.
And so, like today with Justin, he's going to give you a little bit of his background and how we're connected. But I think that, that's what kind of makes it fun to tune in, for example, to Leighton's Loft, because you never know, which kind of guests we're going to have.
Right. Want to bring Justin in?
Absolutely.
Hi, Justin. How we doing? Hopefully everything's working.
Yeah. Hey, can you guys hear me?
Hey, Justin, how are you?
Good. Good to see you guys.
Wow, you got a nice background there. I mean, I don't know exactly, but is that all cards?
That is all cards.
Oh, see, now all of a sudden,
yeah.
The play date with Crosby. Crosby's my son, for those of you who don't know. Justin, I'm sorry, what was your son's name again?
Ryan.
So we're going to set up a play date between Crosby and Ryan, and now that has just been moved up in the timeline because I can see, because Justin said we almost got together. Justin and I play tennis. We're going to talk about all that in just a minute. But as far as cards go, we're both card nerds, right? Some of it we collect, some of it we do to make money. Others we just do it to have fun, and a little bit of everything kind of in between. And so Justin, without further ado, why don't you give everyone a little bit of a brief background about yourself, kind of what you do for a day job, and then how you and I, have crossed paths and where your card interests lie.
Yeah, sure. Well, first, thanks for having me. I feel like I finally made it to the top. I made it to the loft. It's, career accomplishments going on the resume. It's going in my bio.
Absolutely. I'm hoping that gets you a raise next year. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see. So by day, I'm in the healthcare industry. Spent the last 20 plus years working in a variety of different roles. Most recently, healthcare technology for the better part of a decade, private equity investing, M&A, those sorts of roles. So I spend my career doing deals, and that carries over to the trading card arena, where I further hone and practice my skills for my real job. So like there's the connection.
Very cool. Well, Justin is also a fan of the game of tennis. And as you guys know, here on the Loft and Trading Card Therapy, I am as well. And so Justin and I take some lessons at the same place. We played tennis a bunch. And in fact, I think we're playing tomorrow morning.
Yeah, it's very much like a Federer, Nadal type, mutual respect for each other. But when we play, there are these epic matches that, oftentimes Leighton just smokes me. Sometimes it'll be very close though. Tie breaks. We've had all different types of battles, indoor, outdoor.
Oh yeah. I'll tell a quick tennis story, and I think this is really, one day my son Crosby goes back and watches this particular episode. I think today for me playing tennis was kind of like, it mirrored the game of life and how things transpire. So Justin, I'm playing a buddy. You don't know him, but he's in the card world. His name is Joe. I call him Pank. He's worked with us before, and he still, helps me out in a variety of ways in the card space. And so he also likes tennis. He's a little bit older, but, played for his high school team. He's very good. I've beaten him games, but I've never beaten him in a match. And even though I thought I played relatively okay to start today, I lost, I believe, 6-1 or 6-2. And I'm like, oh my God, this is just filth. And I was glad because no one came in after us. We had a little extra time. And when you know it, we ended the second set of the match, and I was down 4-3, but you could tell, like, he stopped it. And if you're listening, Pank, I still love you, but you stopped it. And he felt the heat. And you know what I mean, Justin, right? Like, I might not have won, but I broke through the jitters, and I was like, F this for my serve. I'm just going to play. And all of a sudden it started to come together. And I feel like whether it be sometimes in life, like in relationships, right, with friends or family, because, this time of year is wonderful. But listen, man, you forget the stuffing going to like Aunt Millie's house, she's going to kill you, right? Or like if you don't have the right, seltzer for like, cousin Betty, she's going to be very upset with you. And so, all the kidding aside, for me, Justin, when I play tennis, and I think you the same, we generally are checking our phones. So it's not just like a physical workout, but there's the mental of like, hey, I'm free for whatever it is, 60 minutes, 90 minutes. And like, unless my wife or your wife physically comes down to the court, like they're not going to get a hold of us. And there's something really nice about that. I was curious if you feel the same. I
do. And if you do recall, we had a match this summer where I did check my phone. And
I remember.
Now,
I didn't.
Yeah, it just nothing good can happen from checking your phone in the middle of a tennis match. Get your head out of the game.
Yeah.
So the phone is away now when I play, and it is a great break. And it's actually it's therapeutic when you do that too.
All right, Justin, I did in the few minutes I had to do a little research. I checked your Twitter feed, and in your bio, you list your favorite teams. And there's this team doesn't belong in why thing about the Boston Bruins in there. How did the Bruins end up being a favorite team?
So my favorite teams kind of go up I-95. It starts with the Washington football team,
yep.
Then goes to the Orioles in Baltimore, then hits the Knicks in New York, up to the Bruins in Boston. I grew up in the Washington, D.C. area before the Nationals, before the Ravens, and that's why you get the Washington football team and the Orioles. I did grow up a Bullets fan, and I'll give you a little quick story. I got married in 2009. My wife had zero interest in sports. In 2010, for our paper anniversary, she got tickets to the Knicks game. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like, she actually wants to, go and do something sports oriented. This was like right before they got Carmelo, I think. And we get to the game, and this like person emerged in my wife that I had never seen before. This like rabid Knicks fan screaming at the players. I'm just like, what is going on here? Like, we've been together for years. I've never seen this before. Turns out her dad used to take her to games, like during the Ewing Starks period. And she hadn't been since. And like, it like turned this like switch back on where she became this, crazy Knicks fan. And it was one of those, if you can't beat them, join them. And so I did a midlife team switch, which can be very controversial, I think.
Yeah.
And I decided to commit to the Knicks because it was something sports related I could share with my wife. Now the Boston Bruins, the first book that I checked out of my elementary school library was a kid's book on Bobby Orr. And I was in first grade, and it just like smacked me in the face. I was like, This sport is amazing. This guy is amazing. I was just like a Bobby Orr maniac. And, this is after he stopped playing this is in the 80s, but I became a Bruins fan, and they've always been my number one sports team.
So Justin, speaking of Bobby Orr and the Bruins, because I would be remiss, even though I'll have the experience of being able to come over, I'm sure at some point in the future, even if I have to invite myself over there, I will. I know you have some great hockey cards. So what I'd like to do is at least show off a couple to our audience, because as much as we've seen some amazing cards, whether it be from Just Collect that we procured and bought, or from our very own packs of Vintage Breaks that we pulled live on air, or from some of our very own Vintage Breaks community, they've showed it off on Facebook or even during our loft shows and such. We haven't had a lot of hockey, which is part of the reason why. It may be the stash also, but definitely hockey was probably more than the stash. We wanted you on the show. Can you show us a couple cards from your own loft, hockey related, that whether it be because of value, whether it be because of the artistic nature of it, or both, or some other, attribute, what do you have there hockey-wise that you can show off to our community they will appreciate?
Okay, so I broke out a couple here. So, I mean, first,
excellent. I knew you would have.
Yeah, and this is a recent acquisition, but that's
thank you for showing it off. So, Justin, are you showing us? Is that his Topps rookie in a PSA 8?
Yes, that's his Topps rookie in the PSA 8.
And roughly, now round up, of course, roughly speaking, what's that worth in the open market?
Someone just listed one on eBay yesterday for $66,000. One sold earlier. One sold earlier this week, kind of early this year at the height for like 85, I think. But generally speaking, they've been in like the 40s, I would say.
So this is why, by the way, and we're not going to have enough time today, but we're going to still talk for a few minutes to go over. This is why I love talking to Justin, because we have so many similar interests. But because I do what I do for a living and he does what he does, and by the way, not saying one is better or one is lesser, but what I'm getting to is he literally tortures himself. And I know what's going to happen with his Orr. And he seems working. What's going to happen is the price may go up. And then I'm going to get that text approximately 9:30 to 11:30 at night in the coming days, weeks, or months. Leighton, you wouldn't believe it, but the Orr market has been moving. I don't know what to do. I'm shaking. Please help me. But I'm also working on 11 other sets, which we're going to get to in a minute. And I do appreciate laughing, Justin. But all kidding aside, and I know this is why I appreciate spending time with Justin. He may be holding a very expensive card, but you have to understand, him and I appreciate $30 cards. We appreciate $300 cards, and that's what I'm going to show off right now. So this I bought, and I don't think I paid you for it, but maybe we'll gamble at tennis. I'm just kidding. So I bought this from Justin. It's a 61 Topps Bobby Hull PSA 8. And candidly, when I first bought it from him, I thought I was going to give it away in some capacity as a bonus to the Vintage Breaks community. But Justin, I realized I don't have a ton of vintage hockey. So, if I acquire another piece from you and like that's going to be my nice hockey placeholder for the moment, awesome. But I wanted to have a nice hockey card. I know it's very affordable. And so I just wanted you to maybe speak, because we've talked about it at length, that you not only believe in what you're collecting in terms of that you enjoy it, but we both are kind of on the same wavelength that there's probably a lot of room to grow in the hockey market. And for full disclosure, you own the Bobby Orr, right? So you're not trying to pump it. We're just trying to speak freely. I've told you, and I wanted to hear your thoughts on it, Justin. And I think you feel similarly about the vintage hockey card market being, whether it be 70s, 60s, 50s, pre-war, anything of consequence. And to be fair, I guess Gretzky rookies, Lemieux rookies as well, they're just different time periods. But the fact is, they didn't make as much hockey as they did of baseball, basketball, and football. And unless, and this is how I feel, Justin, and Lou, I want to get your opinion, unless you think that hockey's going by the wayside as a sport, like in other words, some people think boxing is not going to be here in 10 years because all of the different MMAs and the variations are going to take over. I don't believe hockey is being threatened to be eliminated from North American sports. What do you guys think?
So it's an interesting question. One that I often ask myself regularly. On the one hand, you got to look at the total addressable market for this stuff. Hockey of all the major sports is number 4. Basketball, baseball, football are ahead of it. So I think that plays into it to some extent. But then you say, to your point, well, there just is such less supply out there. There's less supply out there because it wasn't produced as much. And then of what was produced, especially the O-Pee-Chee cards, they weren't made in a quality that allowed them to, they weren't cut similarly. The printing was a lot different. And so the populations of, some of these cards from the, 60s, 70s, are much lower than they normally would be, I think, in other sports. So I do, I think it is undervalued. There was an analysis that I found, and I think I sent it to you later. I'm just looking at it on my phone. Someone put together a vintage index return for different sports that I found, and it took like the top 50 like rookies across baseball, basketball, and football. And the 1-year return in hockey, so the last 12 months, so there was a appreciation generally of 39%. In basketball, it was 152%. In baseball, it was 195%. So we're talking about like significantly depressed returns as compared to those two other sports. And if you look at the 2-year return, it's 29% for hockey versus 351% for basketball and 143% for baseball. So that would suggest that the value of hockey hasn't popped the way that it has in other sports. And if you were speculating, you could argue very easily that there's potential for significant appreciation.
Agreed.
Well, I think part of this is hockey mimics baseball in terms of its vintage capability. In other words, there's a long history to hockey, going back a long way. Lots of stories, lots of great and legendary players, but it's very regional. And the fact that the NHL is all over the country, all over both countries, actually is great. And they even expanded recently, the most recent league to expand. I think the attraction for vintage hockey is in the old markets. It's in Detroit, perhaps, or Chicago, or certainly Boston, certainly the Canadian cities. So I think it's regional. I think that helps suppress the overall value. People in basketball is all over the country. People love basketball everywhere. hockey has its hot spots, and I know Tampa's hot now because they've won a couple times, and there are teams all across the country. But only a few of these cities can really, can have a conversation about Bobby Orr or the old Canadians or something like that. I think that regional interest kind of limits the value a little bit.
It's also, well, so again, that goes to like it being a smaller market.
Yeah.
What's interesting though, if you look at each of the micro markets for hockey, like a player that has like similar stats that's a Montreal Canadian Hall of Famer will have significantly higher value than a player with similar stats that's from let's say the Penguins, for example.
Or the Islanders, for example.
Yeah. So like the Toronto players, the Montreal players, they are at significant premiums to other markets, even within the sport and collecting in the sport. On the flip side, if you buy like a modern card that's like a Montreal Canadian and that player gets traded, that it goes way down right away. So it's a little it's a bit of a gamble with the newer stuff.
Justin, is your son around?
Oh, let me get him. Hold on. Let me
right. So
let's keep talking. I'll text my wife.
Great. So the reason why we're asking if Justin's son Ryan is around is because I told him before we came on that I had a 1988 O-Pee-Chee hockey pack, and kind of similar in the same spirit of vintage breaks. I've actually given Justin some cards, over the last couple of years, kind of like to his son or, to him and his son, generally hockey related. But there's something about giving it to him and them opening it in their own home versus opening it live during our show. It is documented. I do hope that we hit a Brett Hull or a Joe Nieuwendyk or like a Wayne Gretzky. That'll be really cool. And I thought that he would enjoy the live aspect to opening it maybe. Yeah,
let me grab him.
Yeah, sounds good. We'll take your time. I'll just send out a bill if we go over, Like, Justin, I'm going to need a high-grade Bobby Orr from you because of the time that we were on the show.
Yeah. Well, here you go. This is the one I upgraded from.
Yeah. Oh, wait, what's the grade of that?
7.
Oh, nice. I'll have to see that in person. Oh, that's a nice 7, right?
Yeah.
Justin, don't sell that until we talk.
I won't. I'm not in any hurry. All right, this is Ryan.
Ryan,
how are you?
Hi.
Hi, it's nice to meet you.
Okay.
What?
He said, Leighton said, nice to meet you.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
I'm Leighton, and this is my friend Lou, who's also watching us right now, along with some of my friends
Ryan.
from Vintage Breaks and Just Like. How are you today?
Good.
Ooh, look at that Gordie Howe
So,
question.
do you like hockey? Do you like hockey as much as your dad?
I don't like watching it that much. I like playing it and collecting cards a little more.
Okay.
Look into the camera up there.
What position?
And who's your favorite
Ryan?
player?
I don't play with positions. I play forward, right, Dad?
Yeah, you play center.
I play center.
There you go.
And who's your favorite player? They asked.
I do not know.
Oh, come on. You got to pick somebody. Who's your favorite Bruin?
Probably Bobby Orr. I don't know.
Bobby Orr too.
All right, Bobby Orr it is. Well, Bobby Orr is not possible in this pack, but
Yeah.
we will guarantee that we'll get an old piece of gum that you do not have to chew. And we're also going to give you the 7 cards that come in this pack of 1988 O-Pee-Chee hockey. We're looking to get a rookie card of either Brett Hull or Joe Nieuwendyk. But Wayne Gretzky has a card in here. Mario Lemieux has a card in here. So we're going to open this live on camera so you can see along with your dad what you get.
Where is it?
Look. All right, here it is. If we get a Brett Hull, that'd be huge. Actually, you get a Brett
it's
Hull.
O-Pee-Chee, so it's not that good. I mean, it's not that easy to find. So here's your gum that you don't have to eat.
Do you want the wrapper too?
Sure.
I'll save the wrapper for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to do the reveal with you on the screen.
Charlie
so that I'm not
Simmer.
seeing it also. Charlie Simmer, I like the
Charlie
stash.
Simmer? Yep. Yeah, very nice.
Dennis Savard was good. I don't know if he's a Hall of Famer, but he was good.
I think he is.
All right. Well, I mean, a lot of hockey Hall of Famers, so.
Yeah.
All right, Dennis Savard is nice. Next card come. Oh, there we go. Oh, he's a Hall of Famer.
Yep.
Salming's a Hall of Famer, right?
I believe so.
And that's well centered, Justin. You're going to have to get our friend Nat to grade that
Ooh.
on bulk for you.
There you go.
All right, next. We got a Bruin.
We got a
Oh.
Bruin. We got a Bruin.
It's not Bobby Orr, but we got a Bruin. I can assure you.
How do you know?
Because he's not in this year. Alan Peterson.
Alan All right.
Alan
All right.
Alan
Is he
Peterson.
I'm going
good?
to tell you I know who he is. I can't tell you.
He was a solid second line defenseman,
Come on,
second,
we
third
need-
line defenseman.
We need to see a St. Louis blue.
Comments.
Ooh, we got an Oiler.
got here?
We got an Oiler.
Yari Curry.
Yari Curry.
Wow.
Very good.
Yeah.
This is
Good
really
pack,
nice.
Ryan.
Ryan, we're going to need you back for certain pack openings because apparently you have Hall of Fame
Yeah.
luck.
You
Yep.
Good luck. You're
Canadian.
Canadian.
Could
Canadian.
be Patrick Waugh. Bobby Smith.
Bobby
I have no
Smith.
idea.
Yeah.
No idea. And next up, Red Wing could be
Red
Spiderman. Mike
Mike
O'Connell.
O'Connell.
No idea.
All right. We made up pretty well on that one, right?
Yeah, you did pretty well. You got several Hall of Famers. I'm going to pull them out here. Let's see. I mean, you did pretty well out of 7 cards. So I'm going to give these to your dad the
Wow.
next time I see him with the wrapper.
Nice.
And because your dad was kind enough to join the show, and I know you'll appreciate it, I'm going to give you guys a free spot in our 1979 O-Pee-Chee hockey set break,
Ooh,
where you can have
nice.
a chance to win a Wayne Gretzky rookie, Ryan, graded PSA 5. If you win that, you
Wow.
should discuss now with your father what's going to happen with the card and the money. Because what happens is if you don't discuss it until after, you're going to get a worse deal.
All right. What are we going to do? Are you going to sell it
I'm
when you
gonna
get it or
keep
keep it? Okay. He says he's going to keep it if we hit it.
It's going
Awesome.
to upgrade
Well,
his college a little bit, is what it's going to do.
No, we're the first gonna get it graded, right, Dad?
He
It is
is
graded.
graded.
Wait, what?
He said it's a 5.
It's graded PSA 5.
Wait, there's a guaranteed Gretzky rookie in
Yeah.
the pack.
No, in the break,
No,
it's
it's
the
in
whole
a set. Very good question, Ryan. It's in a set. So we'll take every card in the set of 1979 O-Pee-Chee hockey. Someone will get one card. Someone will get another card. But we do it all at random. And after it sells out, we're going to do it all live on air for people to watch. So I'll make sure your dad knows the day that it happens.
What do you say?
Yay!
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks,
It's our
Ryan.
pleasure. Thanks for joining us, guys.
I don't want to go.
That was fun.
That was a lot of fun. So special shout out to Justin and his son Ryan. I appreciate that he allows me to beat him in tennis regularly. No, I'm just kidding. That we have a good time hanging out. We have a lot of the same interests. We have kids that are similar age. And now, of course, I am going to be forcing he invited me before, but I was like, oh, very whimsical about it. Now it's going to be like, listen, when are we going? What's the date?
Yep.
Give me the time.
Right.
I'll be
Exactly.
there. And at this point, if I do it with Crosby, great. It'll be fun and business. But if it has to just be business, that's okay too. It's warranted. It's got a great collection.
What a great kid Ryan is. He reminds me of my son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ryan's into hockey, and I'm looking forward to having the boys meet. My son Crosby and his son, and I wanted to take a moment to say thank you to all of us, to all of you, that have been watching us for the last year or so on Leighton's Loft. You can reach me anytime personally if you'd like. Leighton at justcollect.com. That's LEIGHTON at justcollect.com. Excuse me. I sincerely appreciate each and every one of you. Lou, thanks for being part of the ride and being flexible on the schedule.
Oh, I love
And
this.
wanted to wish everyone luck in the $150 Just Collect eBay store giveaway that's coming up next on the Vintage Breaks live show on youtube.com/Vintage Breaks. Happy holidays, everybody.